I'm excited to be me. Welcome to Gospel Tangents, the best source for Mormon history, science, and theology. I'm Rick Bennett. We're continuing our conversation with Dr. John Lefgren. This time we're going to talk a little bit about the Heartland theory. John's going to talk about how he organized the Heartland Research Group and purchased a ship called the Phoenicia. This is a replica of it. We're going to have Captain Philip Beale, and actually Philip autographed it here. We're going to have him talk a little bit about it. John's been kind and gave me a few artifacts here. I just wanted to share them with you. This is a replica of what they think was a knife found in one of the lakes. I think it was in one of the Great Lakes. I can't remember. I believe it was Wayne May found it. But John got a replica, and they think it was made out of copper. This is a replica of what it looked like when it came out of the water. And then John's brother came up with what he thinks it would have looked like brand new. And of course, that looks like a nasty looking sword. It's 90% copper, 10% tin. And nicely, this is not sharp at all. But if that were sharp, I'm sure that would do some damage. So anyway, thanks, John, for sending that. And I also had a listener send me what he said was a replica of the Urim and Thummim that Joseph used. I don't know how Joseph would have used that, because you can see those don't fit over your eyes very well. So I don't know. Anyway, so I appreciate that, Scott. Thank you so much for sending that. I think it's really super cool. But anyway, also just wanted to say John's book, April 6th, I got this on Amazon. So that was the book we talked about last time. But at any rate, we're going to talk more about the Heartland theory and John's role with the Heartland Research Group. So we'll talk a little bit about this ship in just a minute. So check out our conversation. Well, let's move on to another topic. Now, both you and I are wearing dark blue shirts that says Phoenicia on it. And you're the president of the Heartland Research Foundation, right?
Heartland Research Group.
Research Group, okay. So tell us how you got involved with that, and why you're not just the same organization as, say, Rod Meldrum.
Well, I was the Sunbeam teacher in primary.
Okay.
A great calling. I had wonderful students. I enjoyed it. My wife and I taught that class for a year and a half, which meant I did not go to the high priest group meeting. And I was happy with my Sunbeam experience in terms of the faith of the children and their willingness to learn. It was all good. It was all good. So one Sunday, the primary had a different program, and I found myself going back to the high priest group. And we were reading out of the Book of Mormon.
And this is back in Pennsylvania, right?
In Pennsylvania. Typical, group of...
Are you far from Susquehanna, I should ask?
Maybe 2.5 hours.
Okay.
Susquehanna is an important place for the youth to go see. I've been there many times. Mm-hmm. It was a funny experience for me, because we were reading the Book of Mormon account of the destruction of the Nephites. This is the account where General Mormon is listing all of his losses. You add them up, 240,000 or something. It's a big number. Mm-hmm. And I think this happened in Palmyra. I think this is a really wonderful thing that we are able to know where this happened. There were some other members of the quorum who are university professors and PhD candidates in American history, and they jumped on me and said, "Boy, you got that wrong." I says, "How is that possible? It's right here. I read it, and it's Palmyra. I know where Palmyra is. I've been there." And that's where it started for me.
What year was this approximately?
It would have been about 10 years ago.
Okay.
I wasn't any Book of Mormon scholar. I had done a lot of work on calendars, but it seemed really strange to me that that we have a lot of confirmation concerning Palmyra, Moroni, and the destruction of the Nephites. And so, in my typical fashion, I sort of started. I said, I'm going to look at this. And that's where it started.
So, were you familiar with Rod Meldrum's work?
No, not too much. I knew that there was some. I had no particular contact there. I think if I had any origin, it was in the high priest group meeting on a Sunday morning when I was sort of pushed off to the corner saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. And I went back to my sunbeam class.
And they were all a bunch of meso proponents?
There's at least the guy with the big voice was. some I'd say more than half didn't want to even talk. So that's how it started. I then started a calculation in terms of feeding an army of 500,000. I found five armies with 500,000 people, warriors, at 5 different times in history. And in every case, there was a large river basin, a large supply of food. You need 2,000 calories per warrior. You need about, for sure, 2,000 pounds of foodstuffs and other materials to put this army in the field. And you need then, by the time you put 500,000 men on a battlefield, you need nearly 1 million square miles. You just can't do this in a small space. And the Mississippi River Basin is perfect. I mean, okay, they take 5 years to get ready for the final battle. They were moving 1 million tons, easily 1 million tons of food and war material on rivers. And so you need a big base. And for me, that was it. You have the waters of the Great Lakes in one side. You have then the Mississippi and the Ohio River basins. I think that there were warriors there from Tennessee. This was a big fight, very big fight. And those kinds of battles those kinds of armies have been found in the past. If you go to China, put an army together in 200 BC, they're all going to have the big rivers of China behind them. And it is for the Romans too. Without the Nile, you don't have the food to feed the army. You need all the rivers of Europe for 500,000 Roman soldiers to get ready to fight. So I thought that this river connection, this water basin, 2 water basins, the Great Lakes water basin and the Mississippi water basin, would be sufficient to build up an army of 500,000. Get 250,000 on either side, you know. Mormon has. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, had you looked at other theories like Baja or Melee or anything like that?
No. It was, for me, it was, how do you feed 500,000 men? How do you put them in the field? And how do you organize them? And how do you get ready for this big battle?
Did you ever consider what we would call the hemispheric model, or North and South America? It was all just the Mississippi River.
I was satisfied that Palmyra, Ilkamore was the place. So it was a question of starting from there and then just branching out and seeing how do you put this thing together. And so my training is in economic history, and I've done quite a bit of work on some famines. And so my tendency was to look at the world of history, and to see where can I find an ancient army that has ancient armies that are in the field where we have 500,000 men. And they're there. They're in India. Again, they're in China. They're in Europe. That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
It's a big fight. requiring a lot of space. If you can't feed them, they can't fight. And the fight is really, really complete in its detail. It's really amazing. So for me, that was it. I mean, how else? There's no place I could see where this thing could fit into Mesoamerica. It didn't work.
And so how did you go to start the organization, the Heartland Research Group?
Well, I wanted to bring some new technologies. They are expensive. They come from Germany, magnetometry. Census is a big leader in this area. They are good at what they do. They've been doing it for 60 years. And they've done some work in Ohio. I thought that would be interesting. We could cover a few hundred acres in one day. It was new for us, it was new for them, but we started there. It was expensive. So by the time you put an expedition together on the first go around, it's $30,000. Wonderful people. And the first money was
That's a lot of money.
Well, if you're not looking, you can't find it. And we're talking about a lot of land. Not thousands of acres, but millions. And there's a lot of water. And so, we're looking for something that is in a small space, for sure. But you have to be able to manage, or at least begin the search someplace.
Had you done any sort of fundraising like this before?
No.
Because, $30,000.
Well, that was my money.
Oh.
That was my money.
So you just kind of chipped it in?
Sure did.
Wow. And then how did you get other people involved?
You just start doing it, and other people come.
Like Field of Dreams?
I think it's, everybody has their view, and, we have to be generous, of course, in the way we treat each other. And Wayne May was really, really very much involved. I was in contact with him every day. He's a good guy. He's done a lot of work. And he had his friends, and we raised, over the 3 years, we raised about $78,000 from small donors, $10, $20 a month. And then we went and found people who gave us more money. And so we have, over the last 6 years, gone through about $700,000.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. It's crazy. It's really crazy.
Do you have full-time staff involved with this?
One guy.
One guy. And that's you?
That's it. No, I mean, we got a lot of, that's wrong to say it that way. We have probably 150, 200 people who are very talented.
Oh, but mostly volunteers, right?
All volunteers.
Yeah.
And all with different views, of course. We have had 4 expeditions. We've used some incredible technologies from Russia and from Germany. We shifted, after the first 2 expeditions in Ohio. Ohio is a big place. And there are tens of thousands of mounds. Everywhere you look in Ohio is full and rich in ancient history in the ground. Really, really hard to understand, or even to. We're talking. The Book of Mormon has 1,000 years of history, 1 million square miles, and if you're looking for Book of Mormon evidence in that kind of space, it's hard. So after spending $120,000, I said I got to focus. I then took on the theory that Zarahemla was across the way from Nauvoo.
Because that's something Joseph Smith said?
No, God told Joseph Smith. It wasn't something it was not a throwaway line. It was part of our scripture. It's in the Doctrine and Covenants.
Okay.
I think that's a good place to start. The most confirming piece for me was Alma chapter 2. This is probably the most complete battle account we have in ancient America involving 3 armies. Probably as many as in the Army, on the Army side, 100,000, 150,000. And on the civilian side, we have refugees or people who are, so we have movements of people that are total movement of about 200,000. They're going into these, to Zarahemla for protection. This battle lasts for 36 hours, and it's in a grid of 5 square miles. And we know they're crossing the river Sidon. And so that's all useful. And there's no other place where you can, I mean, it's a tight space, lots of people, and a short time. And we have 200 verses of scripture. It is Alma's own, it's the Battle of Zarahemla in 87 BC. It's a first-hand account. He was the chief judge and the commander of the army. So the detail of all that is still preserved, well preserved. Moroni, Mormon Moroni, made sure that that battle report was given as it was originally written. And that for me is probably the most important thing. We're in the right place.
Have you found anything that you can say is confirming of the Book of Mormon yet?
Oh yeah, lots.
What give us some examples?
10,000 fire pits. The most interesting piece we are working on, we hope to bring it out of the ground, but we think we have found the defensive wall of Zarahemla that is at least 4.5 miles, but maybe as much as 10 miles. Pieces of it are there. The LiDAR imaging of that space is remarkable. Yeah, there's a lot there. We did some, we scanned with the German technology and then with the Russian technology about 200 acres. Worked with the local landowners. They've been very cooperative, or at least the big landowners have. So it's very fun, very fun. It's hard. It costs a lot of money. You get these pieces of equipment that are $120,000. You lease them. You got 6 days. You bring in a crew, and before you know it, you've gone through $50,000. So, and there's a risk in all of this, of course. So about 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, we shifted things. The Phoenicia has much less risk. It's very real. It has a clear history. It allows us to be more effective with the use of our money and our time.
And so the Phoenicia, that's the ship that went around Africa, almost ended up in Florida, and then headed back and circumnavigated Africa, right?
Yes, indeed. We bought that ship.
Yeah.
And that it's the very fact that we have it is a complete miracle. A complete miracle.
And so you think that the Phoenicia basically followed Lehi's travels as well as Mulek's travels from the old world to the new world?
I don't have anything except the experience of the experts.
Right.
I know that Philip Beale demonstrated the reality of those two crossings. He's our we have the ship and we have Philip Beale.
He's your Columbus and your Lehi all in one. Right?
He is, and he's very genuine.
Yeah.
And for anyone to imagine that they can improve on what he experienced, I think is a mistake.
And so you've bought that ship, and you've got a museum there in Montrose, Iowa?
Well, we have the ship. We're putting the ship together.
Right.
It may be 15% together, but this is the largest artifact from the ancient world that has significance for the Book of Mormon. It's 2,600 years old. It's coming out of the Mediterranean.
Now, could you tell us a little bit? You said there was a ship found in France that Philip based his ship on.
For sure.
Yeah, tell us more about that story.
I'll tell you, Marseille is a city in France on the western Mediterranean coast. And Marseille is an older city than Rome. Okay? It's a French city, but it's older than the city of Rome. It has a long history of seafaring activity, and it has a port. It has a port today, an important port in France. In the mud of the port, in July 1993, there was a backhoe that was digging for foundations on a seaside project for a theater or something like that. And while they were digging, the backhoe hit these timbers of a shipwreck. It turns out that these timbers are 2,600 years old. And they are the remains of a Phoenician ship with the remarkable Phoenician joint. That was discovered in 1993. It takes time, of course, to sort this all out. But by 2000, it was clear that they had an ancient ship that is 600 BC. So taking that design, Philip Beale faithfully reconstructs a ship that would have been very familiar to the Phoenicians. And that's where his story begins. We can connect every year for the last 2,600 years to this ship. There is nothing made up here. It is as real as it can be. The original wreck is in the museum. Anybody can go see it.
In your museum in Iowa?
No, in Marseille.
Oh, in Marseille, okay.
The original 2,600-year-old wreck is in a museum in Marseille. The Museum of Marseille. It's a beautiful display. Anybody can go see it. It's as real as it can be.
As long as you happen to be in Marseille, France, right?
Well, it's an unusual artifact.
Yeah.
It deserves protection and it deserves public attention. So without that, we don't have the Phoenicia. With that, we can replicate using the same materials and methods, and that's what Philip Beale did. Yeah. And then he sells that ship. Calls it the Phoenicia. It's very wonderful, because we can get as close as we possibly can, I think, to 600 BC, at the time when Lehi was alive, mm-hmm. Jeremiah was alive. We come into the city of Jerusalem at a time when the Babylonians are going to destroy the walls and burn the temple. Very destructive and very chaotic time in all that part of the Mediterranean. This is where the Book of Mormon finds its origin. No. It's really exciting, really exciting. The thing is that now this ship is in Iowa. You can put your hand on it.
Yeah. And
it's not small. It's 40 tons. It's big.
And it could have supported, say, 30 people from Lehi's family.
Oh yeah. Now you've got to feed them. You've got to have water, everything else. And, it's not an easy thing to cross the Atlantic in a square-rigged vessel. But this is a strong ship. The ship is amazing. It's all because of the technology that the Phoenicians had developed for the joints. It has 7,500 joints. So a force 120-ton wave come crashing down on this ship, it takes the blow, and it moves like that a little bit, but then it comes right back.
So is that your biggest evidence then, would you say, is this Phoenician ship?
So the evidence of anything has to have a time and a place. The evidence of the Book of Mormon is immense, of course. The time and place is like huge. And we are looking at maybe a 25-year period. We are looking at the time of Jeremiah, the time of Lehi. I want to be completely focused. It's a narrow focus because the truth is always brought out in its clearest definition when you put limits on it. So it's essentially it's a microscope looking down on the ship to see what we can find out about how the crossing of the Atlantic is an important part of the Book of Mormon story, for sure.
Right.
So we get this, and the other parts, okay, let them fall.
So you prove that you can get from Yemen, Oman, around Africa to Florida, because Philip's done it.
Philip's done it. And nobody else can easily do it, but it can be done again. Philip's not going to do it again. It's a very dangerous trip. Right. In this type of craft, in this type of, it's old. Not in terms of the ship, but in terms of. But Philip thinks that the Phoenicia was a stronger ship than the ships that Columbus had. Certainly a lot better.
Stronger than Columbus's ship. That's
yeah. Certainly more interesting and stronger than the Viking ships. These Phoenicians ruled the waves, and they had a great trading system, moving millions of tons of freight, millions of miles. The North Star was called the Phoenician Star. They were even sailing at night. They could steer and they could move. They knew the winds and they knew how the waves worked, the currents. You don't do that in one generation. Amazing what they did. And it all fits so that we go from Jerusalem to Zarahemla. And Zarahemla is a Phoenician name, and that's the city that Mulek and his people founded. It all fits right there. So the city of Zarahemla was founded by the people of Mulek. They were separated from the people of Lehi for 350 years. And I think that there are at least 1,000 different points in this ship that confirm the narrative of the Book of Mormon. Very powerful, very powerful.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, one of the big knocks, I guess, is the DNA issue. I attended one of the sessions at the Firm Foundation, and I wish I could remember that guy's name, but he was talking about the Kennewick man. He did state that that carbon dating dates him to 9,000 BC, but he thought that the dating was wrong.
I have nothing to say about that. I don't know anything about DNA. I'm not an expert.
You're not an expert.
I've read some things about it, but for me to make a comment, it will not be informed.
Okay.
I have spent a lot of time with Philip Beale. We have begun to understand better the Phoenicia. There are 200 people, institutions, governments, universities, museums, who have supported Philip Beale. They are all experts, and what Philip Beale has done is remarkable. And the ship is in Iowa, and we are putting it together faithfully, following the pattern that was given to us. But it's cut up in pieces like a big jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
So I mean, we do what we do with what we got.
So is that your biggest piece of evidence? Is just the fact that Philip was able to essentially recreate Lehi and Mulek's travels to the New World?
Well, I think that is a huge piece of evidence.
Right.
If we don't get them across the Atlantic, we don't have a Book of Mormon story. The neat thing about this, Phoenicia, is that it ties in so well to the Bible and the history we have of Jeremiah. The Phoenicia is all connected with that, and then it's all connected with the Mulek, with the people of Mulek. So we have the old and the new connected by this ship. And that is a big thing. That is a very big thing. And it is of sufficient size, sufficient sort of like, the detail is remarkable. There are many ways to look at it. But it fits the story. And it's a complicated story, and it has a lot of twists and turns in it, but we are kind of in a tight frame of time, and but the space is enormous, but we have, like we have 25 years from the time the temple burns until the time the people of Mulek become established in America.
The temple in Jerusalem.
Yes, the first temple.
Okay.
I think it's marvelous. It's really marvelous. It's breathtaking when you put your hand on it. Yeah, it's all the timbers, all the joints, all the pieces from the ancient world right there in front of you. Can't argue with it. Cannot argue with it. And you can walk back 2,600 years in time and end up in Marseille and look at the original. We don't skip anything here. There's no holes, there's no gaps. It's very real. Very real. That, I think, is powerful.
So your main focus right now is kind of building the museum in Montrose, Iowa to house...
Well, we've already gone through $250,000. Mm-hmm. And what we've done with that is remarkable because we've involved probably 150 people who have donated 3,000 hours of labor. We have involved and have been connected now to hundreds of people in the old world. All this is complicated and can be very expensive. So we're into this probably $250,000 donated funds, and we are hoping to raise $2 million to build a museum. We are promoting and reaching out to many people in many ways. The ancient world is following us, the old people, the people in Carthage, the people in Morocco. The king of Morocco knows Philip Beale, knows of the ship. Today we are going to approach the king of Morocco and see if we can have his kingdom represented at the museum. We've been working on those contacts for 6 months. These are not easily done. We have universities in the United States that we're working with. I imagine that the Phoenicia is going to easily take another $2-3 million. But it won't disappoint us. It will not disappoint us. That's my bet.
Cool. Are you doing any other archaeological work in Iowa?
Would love to. I would love to. We've started a number of things that should be followed up on, but I don't. You have to, of course, calculate what is the best use of time and money, and you want to get as much as you can out of the little that you have. So the strategy now is to keep our focus on the Phoenicia, promote it, take it out to the world. We imagine that within a year or two there'll be tens of thousands of people coming. We have just made a deal for the purchase of a riverboat that will take people from Nauvoo to Montrose so that they can come and see the Phoenicia. We expect that within a year or two we'll have 50,000, 60,000 people from Nauvoo coming over the river. It'll be a beautiful river ferry, about 15 minutes, comes right to the ship. It's all magical. I mean, like real magical. Now, the Mississippi River at that point where Nauvoo is beautiful, beautiful. And so we'll have a chance for people to experience that.
Now, can I ask, it sounds like you have a way to get people from Nauvoo over to the Montrose.
2 days ago, we agreed to buy the river boat, the ferry.
Okay.
It takes 50 people.
Because normally from Nauvoo to Montrose, you have to go through Keokuk, and how long of a drive is that?
That's 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
Or then you can go through Fort Madison.
And so now you've got a
beautiful ferry, a beautiful boat ride across the Mississippi in 15 minutes.
So you can literally travel from the Nauvoo Temple across the river.
Parley Street, just come right down to Parley Street. We'll pick up the ferry and cross over straight across to Montrose, and then take a little shuttle to the Phoenicia. It will become a very, very popular thing. No doubt, no doubt. We've had 1,500, maybe 1,700 people who came during this last summer. 3 buses, but mostly private tours, families. No one has left disappointed. No, this is something that we'll tell the story best we can. It'll be as truthful as we can make it. If you want Book of Mormon evidence, come to the Phoenicia. It is certainly the biggest artifact and the biggest project going on in terms of Book of Mormon history. Real Book of Mormon history that I can imagine since the Restoration. It's big. It's a big idea. It's a very important thing. And if you want to be a critic of the Book of Mormon, you're going to have to deal with what we're doing. Find fault with it. You're free, of course, to do that, but it is as real as it can be in terms of true history, in terms of a true sense of truth, and very powerful, very powerful. We're happy to be a part of it. And God's hand, if God can't bless us, we don't want to be here. If He wants to take us down, then do it sooner rather than later. It's completely in His hands, completely in His hands.
Now, to my understanding, it seems like there's 3 or maybe even 4 main groups of, can I call them Heartlanders? You've got Rod Meldrum's Firm Foundation, your Heartland Research Group. Wayne May kind of has his own man.
And God bless them all. God bless them all. I am not, the truth is going to come out of the ground, and that will happen regardless of what we do or how we do it.
And then Jonathan Neville, I think he's got a little bit of variation on it too.
And that's fine. That's fine. Let 1,000 flowers bloom.
You guys are all very supportive of each other.
I think that we have opinion that can vary, sometimes in a big way. We have styles that are different, approaches that are certainly different, and that's fine. It's fine. I mean, we have no orthodoxy. There's no catechism.
You don't have to believe a certain way.
You don't have to believe a certain way. We are free to do as best we can with what we got. We don't want to give offense to anyone. We pray for God's hand in what we do. I imagine that none of us fully appreciate the true significance of the Book of Mormon. It's beyond real. It is historical fact. These people lived and died in America. They had their problems for sure, but this is from God. It is a witness of the Restoration. There are great promises for sure, and we all have a little bit to do. I imagine that this story will be told and retold by 1 million missionaries. Yeah, I do.
So you've got a couple of websites. What's the name of because I know Phoenicia Rocks is mostly about the boat, right?
Yeah,
Phoenicia.rocks.
Phoenicia.rocks is mostly about the boat, and we're not as good as we should be with these websites. These things get hard to control.
What's your website?
We have had 2. Zarahemla.site.
.site, S-I-T-E.
And then Phoenicia, rocks.
Okay. Is there one for the Heartland Research Group specifically?
They're both owned by the Heartland Research Group.
Okay.
They've gone through different phases, and so we try to get. We've been on Facebook. We've probably had 700,000 visits on Facebook over the last 4 years, 5 years, and we are on. We have an email blast that we try to send out 2 or 3 times a month. It's not as well organized as it should be, for sure. I mean, it's a. We do the best we can, and then we ask for God's mercy. But He's merciful, and we have not been disappointed. We're very happy to be where we are, very convinced that it's a true book, and that we can accept the Book of Mormon as the Word of God. It's a powerful witness, and like life and history in general, there's many aspects to it, a lot of different people, different interpretations, I guess.
And so you can see videos on there.
Yes.
Yes. Yuri.
Sonata.
He's been your kind of Brazilian filmmaker.
He's the filmmaker, and he's not a member of the church. He's a great artist, and he has wonderful contacts in the old world. And they're not going to come in because we're Mormon, but they will come in because we are talking about the Phoenicia, and they want to promote the history of their people. And we welcome them. So we'll have Muslims. We've had, in our volunteers, we've had a number of faithful Methodists who have come to work with us. They all like the Bible story. They know King Zedekiah. They know Jeremiah. They know the destruction of the first temple. And very supportive. I would say in many cases they have been more supportive than others who are members of the church. Amazing. So we are humble. We want to be humble. We're poor, wayfaring. Certainly don't have the money for this. But God is merciful, and He has blessed us, for which we are thankful.
All right. Well, is there anything else we need to know about the Heartland Research Group that you'd like to share?
Well, for sure. We want you to come to Montrose, Iowa. We want you to take a few hours out of your busy schedule, and we want you to help us put this thing together. We need to clean up a number of pieces of wood, panels, so some of it's sanding, some of it just scraping. The ship is going to come together. It has 7,500 joints, very complicated in its construction, beautiful in its form. Amazing how they were able to control these lines. That, you know, the ship is not built right. It won't cut through the water, and it will not float
anymore. It did float, but yeah.
Yeah. So we have a number of well-trained people there, but we need help. If you got some time, come on out, and we'll feed you. Everybody gets fed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we feed you, and if you work more than a day, we'll give you a bed that's clean, and we'll let you rejoice in the discovery of truth. Come 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, whatever. Yeah, very important.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, John Lefgren, I appreciate your hospitality and the amazing things you've helped me to get to the Firm Foundation Conference and the auction and everything, and it's been a lot of fun. So.
It's been very fun. Thank you for taking the time to even give us your attention. It's wonderful that you're there. God bless you.
Well, thank you.
God bless us all.
I appreciate you for being here on Gospel Tangents.
Thank you. Good luck.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Dr. John Lefgren. John, thank you so much for your kindness, hospitality, these cool gifts you gave me, and I look forward to meeting with you again and checking out the Phoenician Museum there in Iowa. In our next conversation, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk to Captain Philip Beale. He was the captain of the Phoenicia ship that sailed from the Middle East to America.
There was a strong appeal of joining the Navy as a seamanship officer. So I went through the Dartmouth Britannia Royal Naval College as a junior officer, and then I served on a couple of ships in, at the time, Her Majesty's Navy. And but then I sort of saw that the kind of expeditions and voyages I wanted to do, which was sort of in the mould of Kon-Tiki that Thor Heyerdahl did, that I needed to leave the Navy and pursue a sort of career that enabled me to undertake these historic voyages.
If you like what we're doing here on Gospel Tangents, please become a paid subscriber at gospeltangents.com or patreon.com/gospeltangents. We've got full transcripts on our website at gospeltangents.com. And if you'd like to check out some of our other conversations, click over here. Thanks.